All righty, it is time for the pregame show. Streaming to start worldwide. We're going worldwide streaming.
How
And
easy
then
is it to do that these days? My goodness.
to go worldwide,
Yeah.
we do it. We're going to do it 82 times.
Yeah.
We're going
I
worldwide.
mean, we don't even need the help of a radio station. We click a couple of buttons, bang, here we go.
Yeah, and we're right into people's. They can see us, they can hear us. I don't know that
Yeah.
we need to be seen, but
I apologize for the manner in which I'm being seen right now.
you got that Taka jersey hanging up in the background.
Isn't that nice?
That's a beauty. Who made that?
Was
Is that an eagle lettering one?
no, it's a little after Eagle. It's very old CCM. It was done by Gold Medal Sporting Goods on Concord Pike in Wilmington in about 1989. Normally, it's turned the other way, but I figured, given the events of late, that we go ahead and we'd go ahead and put the guy's side out. So,
well, I figure is that like, are you subliminal, like a subliminal message there?
no,
Like
not
talk
really.
behind the bench or something?
No. It was more Hall of Fame than anything. Is he?
Oh.
There's a couple of hot seats out there, isn't there? So
There is.
He's got a pretty cushy gig, though. I don't know that I'd be ready to run out the door and go coach again.
I asked him about that.
ENT gig.
when I talked to him for the podcast for Flyers Daily down at the alumni game, I asked him. I said, first of all, you're doing great. He's great at the television thing.
Yeah.
And there's going to be people are going to knock on his door. I know he interviewed for a lot of jobs this summer, but when all said and done, you don't get. The paycheck still comes. There's no wins and losses doing TV.
Right, exactly. And I'm sure
stress.
Is somebody still paying him? I don't. I would imagine he might still be getting paid by somebody. I don't remember for sure where he was last, but
wow,
it's funny how that works as a coach.
Yeah. Well, as long as the check's still clearing.
Yeah.
I'll go on the beach for a little while.
If it's Arizona, you never know, I suppose, but they seem to have it together down there.
Yeah, is that check clearing? That's you
exactly.
You got to log on to your bank account every week. Well, let's get to the big news because Morgan Frost has been recalled. He got the call last night. We're going to hear from Morgan in just a minute or so here on the pod, or excuse me, on the Flyers Game Day show. And he talks about finding out last night when he was out with the boys having dinner that he got the call from Ian LaPerriere that he's getting called up and sent to Florida. So
okay,
he'll be in the lineup tonight.
That's interesting. Then I like hearing that little anecdote, because if he's out at dinner, right, that means it's not that late. I wouldn't think. Derek Brassard left after the first period. We were kind of wondering, all right, what happens now? They must have called him pretty quick, trying to make sure they could get somebody down to Miami.
Well, Brassard is not on the ice for warmups tonight.
Right.
So he is not available. There's 18 skaters on the ice, and Derek Brassard is not one of them. So he will be out. Who knows how long he'll be out for, but he is obviously not available. But they're just getting punched in the mouth at the center position, and that's a really tough position to get punched in the mouth. And you look at, the lack of scoring. Part of the equation is, you need a center to drive play. You need a center that's responsible defensively for the wingers to be able to get up the ice and transition and all those things. And they're really in a tough spot from the center position right now.
They are. I will say this, though, that it's good that things fell the way they did with this roster in the last year, because I could see an argument being posed that maybe Chuck Fletcher added too many centers last year. But I think the rule of thumb, isn't it, is that you can never have too many good centers. And so, if they didn't have Derek Brassard, they didn't grab him at the at late in the summer there, you never know what's going to happen. I mean, the same thing happened last year when or the year before, I guess it would have been. All these years run together, but whenever we got to camp and Nolan Patrick couldn't play anymore, they had an extra center that year too, fortunately. So it's that old adage, you can never have too many centers in your organization. But fortunately, they got Brassard was one of them, but Lawton can go back and forth. Giroux obviously can go back and forth, so they do have that little flexibility.
They seem reticent to move Giroux back and forth at this time.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that.
Yeah, and I'm all for that. Moving him back into the middle, it's the easy thing to do, but it may not be the right thing to do. So, they're looking to avoid losing 3 straight games for the first time this season tonight down in Florida. Tough opponent, and Morgan Frost will get the kick. This first NHL game this season, but he's played 22 NHL games. He's got 7 points, 2 goals, 5 assists. Matter of fact, got his first goal in Florida. It was a loss against the Panthers and Sergei Bobrovsky, but he's now played, Bri. He has played over a couple of seasons, the 2019-20 season, and this year so far, 16 games in the AHL. Mm-hmm. And he has played 57 games. He's got 16 goals, 28 assists, 44 points in those 57 games in the AHL. And like I mentioned, 2 goals, 5 assists in 22 NHL games and 7 points. And it's going to be interesting to see where AV slots him tonight. I'm going to try and get a look at the warm-ups here as we're doing the broadcast or the pregame show and see what line he's on.
Yeah, that was one of the things that we've always talked about with Morgan Frost over the years is that, when he gets to the NHL, you don't want to throw him on a 4th line. That doesn't do anybody any good. So that will be interesting to see. I mean, obviously this is quote. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they did call him up under emergency conditions. They did have. So, this is a situation where you need a warm body in there. He's playing well. You want to get him in there. That might, you don't want to just call him up for no reason and put him on the 4th line. Given the way things are going right now, does he play the 4th line tonight just to get his legs under him? Maybe. Does he go higher? I don't know. We were talking about Zach McEwen, how well he's been playing. Does he get elevated? It is going to be interesting to see the lines tonight. I do have the Brassard play from yesterday that I brought up. I don't know if I know how to do this right, but we can show it if we want.
I don't know if you can show it there. I got the Flyers lines from the pregame.
Let's go through that first.
These are the line rushes that took place tonight. The top line will be Sean Couturier centering Claude Giroux and Travis Konechny. The second line will be Morgan Frost centering Joel Farabee and Cam Atkinson. Very interesting.
Well, I like the looks of that.
Scott Lawton will center James Van Riemsdyk and Zach McEwen. He's 17, right?
Yes, correct.
All right. And then Nate Thompson will center Oscar Lindblom, and that looks like a number 11, but that's not an 11 because the number 11's on the top line.
Okay. 21?
Did you say 21? 21 centering the third line.
Okay, gotcha.
So I'm not sure who
71. Max Willman.
Oh, 71. Okay. Yeah, Tim's got the hammer. Then the D pair's pretty much the same. Actually, no, are they? 9 and
61?
No.
We
got to change it to D pairs. It looks like Rasmus will be on that top pairing. And Sealer will be with Sanheim, and Braun will be with Yandel.
That's the first time this year, I'm pretty sure, that Rasmus has played that he hasn't played with Travis Sanheim.
Yeah. And very interesting. Interesting line changes. I'm going to tweet these out real quick.
Okay.
Line changes for tonight. So I'll recap them here while I'm typing for everybody. So the top line was Claude Giroux with 14 and 11.
Okay.
The second line was 48. Is that what he wears?
Yeah, that's Morgan's number. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm trying to do all this on the 86, 48, and 89.
Yeah.
86 -48 and 89. And the third line was this is like toggling back and forth. 25, 21, and 17. You're no help.
Oh yeah.
And then the fourth
line.
line.
To share my screen at the same time here. I don't know if what are you seeing? Do you see me or do you see Claude Giroux's head?
I see my Twitter account, but I see it down there. Okay, here you go. Is this copyrighted? Oh yeah, I can't play this.
I doubt it. I don't care.
No, they'll kick me off YouTube.
Well, this is just a real quick clip. This is the face-off that was Brassard's last play, and you're going to see him right here. He's going to sprint down the left corner of the screen. He's going to take this tip pass. He's going to deflect that on, and then from there, he's leaving the ice right now. You can't see it, but as we come back up the ice here, you're going to see his foot right there. So it took him a good 8 seconds to get from one side of the ice to the other after that sprint. So, I'm guessing that's where at least he decided that he was going to have enough for the night. I don't know if he actually did anything on that sprint or not, but that's the play that was his last shift of the game. So Didn't see anything specifically happen, but again, he was not really on camera either. So it's one of those. That's one of those fun things about trying to follow games just from a monitor instead of being there. But such is life.
Yeah. Is Ristolainen 78? Is that his number?
70.
70. Nice.
78 is Strome.
Matthew Strome.
Yeah, I don't think he's up, but
Okay. Very interesting line combinations tonight for sure. I mean,
yeah,
Ristolainen on the top pair.
You know, I'm interested to see what he has to say after the game on why he did the deep pairings way. Unless did he already talk about this before the game? I have to admit I did not
He
review the coach's pregame press conference.
He basically just said that he's making changes and didn't say what they were. So he was going a little stealth, if you will.
So you know, he'll no doubt get probably asked after the game on why he decided to change up the D pairings, because again, this is really the first non-injury related shuffle of the D pairings this season. I think. You know, and last night's game, you know, I don't have hard numbers in front of me to talk just to test. Just the eye test is telling me. I'm sorry, I'm sending audio down the line, aren't I? One moment.
Yeah, you are. I was wondering if it was me. I started scrambling.
Nope, it's the Panthers TV broadcast.
Oh, so you want to eavesdrop on what they're saying?
The what was I getting at? Oh yeah, I feel like the last several Flyers goals last night and going into the game before that, Nick Seeler has kind of been victimized on them. He seems to have been out there a lot during them. I don't know again if I've just happened to notice certain goals that he was out there for, or if there's actually something to that. But might be trying just to shake up the dressing a little bit there in terms of some of the chemistry between the two D pairs. I don't know that Seeler and Yandel maybe quite have that chemistry, so maybe it's just a matter of trying to fix that. But regardless, you know, that was a game the other night where the Flyers, like AB said, the Flyers just weren't very good for the last 30 minutes. So you know, kudos to him to try to get something going, especially against a team like this. 10-0 at home, haven't played since Saturday, so a tall order tonight.
Oh, it's a tall order. When you look at Florida, they're one of the top teams in the NHL. They're 10-0 on home ice. I'm pretty sure that's not bad, but 10-0 on home ice, they average, Bri. How about this? They average on home ice 4.8 goals per game. They have not scored less than 4 in any of those 10 home games. They have a record of 13-2-3, plus 24 in goal differential. They've won 3 straight, and they're a team that, if you're having a hard time scoring, that's not where you want to visit. I mean, just in general, they're the second highest scoring team in goals for per games played at 3.94. And not only that, so they're second in goals for per game, and they're fifth, or excuse me, they are, let me get this the other way. Yeah, they're fifth in goals allowed at 2.50. Good combination.
The thing that really strikes me about that is that a lot of people may not have, I guess people noticed, but it slipped my mind until yesterday that this team had a coaching change in the middle of all this. The Chicago Blackhawks issue that ended up resulting in the resignation of Joel Quenneville from the Panthers. I mean, they've had a change in leadership during all of this, and they've maintained this production. And if anything, has gotten a little bit better under Andrew Brunette than they were under Q. So it's that's very interesting. Usually, when you have something like this come in and shake up an organization, it would affect something. But you know, this team right now, you know, which is it's a relatively quick turnaround. It wasn't too long ago where the Panthers were paying the Vegas Golden Knights to take players off their hands, and Marchessault ends up scoring 50 goals for Vegas, and they look like egg on their face. I mean, the whole thing with Gerard Gallant wasn't that long ago. So all of a sudden things have fallen into place for this team right now, and you know, I guess the question is it sustainable? You know, 15 games in, 18 games in for them. You know, that's a pretty good sample size. But you know, we'll see what happens as the season gets older here, but they are certainly looking like they're clicking on all cylinders right now.
And they're a team, as a goalie, you go into this game going, okay, they're averaging 4.8 at home. That, it's going to be a tough night. And boy, I hope we don't get to a shootout because I got to face Barkov, who's one of the sickest shootout players in the league. But he is not going to play in the game tonight. He is out injured. He's played 15 games. He's got 9 goals, 8 assists, 17 points. He won the Selke last year. Jonathan Huberdeau leads them in points with 18, but not getting Barkov maybe is a good thing. But Braden Point and Nikita Kucherov didn't play for Tampa Bay last night. The effort has got to be better throughout this 60 minutes to have any chance in hell tonight.
And that's the thing that I'm having a little trouble with trying to analyze last night's game, just from the standpoint of I don't know exactly what the impetus was to what we saw from the Flyers last night. They had, really a final 30 minutes where they were just completely flat. And Brassard, when they lost him, you're down a forward, but generally that doesn't have that much of an effect on a team as that did last night. This is, they went down a day early. They had, some extra time to rest and didn't have a ton of travel in the day leading up to the game or anything like that. So, just trying to figure out exactly what that was, if that was just an off night for this team, or if it is something to be more and more concerned about. I talked about it a lot in the postgame show where, this is now a team that scored less than 2 goals a game in their last 14 games. That shutout knocked them under that 2-goal threshold. So that obviously is a concern on the offensive side, but what of the game itself? I mean, was that the same problems getting worse, or was it just an off night? And I think we'll see tonight, when they come out here with another fresh look, maybe more or less where they're at, as far as how to evaluate last night's game, if it was just a one-off or if we are just actually dealing with something here that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a one-off, does it? It really doesn't. These goal struggles over 12 games now, they've only scored 20 goals, 1.67 goals per game. They're over those 12 games. I pulled a bunch of these numbers together last night. They have had 40 power plays. They've scored 4 goals. That's easy math to me, 10%. They have 387 shots, an average of 32.25 shots per game. They've allowed 410 shots, which is an average of 34.1. It's not like they're not getting shots, but it's not about shots. It's about quality. They've been shut out in this 12 games 3 times. They have scored 2 goals 7 times, and they scored 3 goals 2 times, and they scored 1 goal 0 times. That's what it has been. Oddly enough, though, you want to survive when you're not playing good and your schedule's tough. They have a record of 5-5-2 over the 12 games. It's been ugly because they're not scoring, but it's not like over this 12 games, they're going, 3-8 and 1 or something like that. They actually do have 5 wins, and they've gotten 2 loser points.
Right. Yeah. And that's the key. I mean, every team is going to play poorly for stretches over the course of a season. It's a matter of trying to get through those stretches with some points. And it's, I don't know if we're talking 2 or 3 years ago. I think it was 3 years ago. You might remember the Flyers won 10 games in a row
and didn't make the playoffs.
They lost 10 games in a row. I mean, it was crazy. It was just nuts. And so, I think, I think if I recall correctly, Alain Vigneault's teams have a history of being second half teams. That was what 1920 was all about. 1920,
they had a good November in 1920.
Yeah, November was
December was a gong show.
It seems to be, for whatever reason, recently a constant around here that between the 4th week of November and January 1st, we have 2 things. We have holidays. We have hockey angst. I don't know what it is. I would love to go through a holiday season blowing the doors off of a league, but the team doesn't seem to do that. So again, this division though is so tight that you can't get too far behind, or you are going to have a real problem when it comes to making things up on the back end.
I saw this tweet from Jordan Hall. We're going to pick up the radio audience here in a couple minutes as I get a scam phone call. And Jordan at J Hall NBCS, and he said, just my 2 cents, but in the 1920 season, the Flyers had 2 4-game losing streaks before Thanksgiving. Got to give things a little bit of time. Now, there is a lot of new faces here, on this team this year. Some of them haven't been available, like Ryan Ellis, but I mean, the injuries are part of it. New faces may be a part of it too. But what we saw in that final 30 minutes of that Lightning game last night was maybe the most discouraging element of it.
Yeah, then that's exactly it, and that's what I'm waiting to see tonight is how do they respond from that? Was that a byproduct of losing Derek Brassard? I don't know. Were the forward lines just that out of sync, trying to play with 11 guys that they couldn't they couldn't muster any energy? Maybe it's just the fact that they were doing it against a team like Tampa. Was that it? I don't know. But again, the one thing that was kind of crazy about that Tampa game, and we talked about it before you left for the night, with the shots being like the Flyers outshot them 12-6 in the first period, but didn't feel like it. Well, at the end of the game, the Lightning had almost as many shots that missed the net as they did shots on goal. So they actually did that. That to me was what we actually were seeing, were the overall shot attempts, and I guess a lot of them just had missed for whatever reason, or if it's just sometimes you see anomalies like that, and it just happens to be the city you're playing in and how they score the game there. This is still done by humans watching from 80 feet in the air, and the stats are only as good as what those guys see sometimes. But yeah, I think what they come out with tonight here is going to be a big telling point. And like you said, like we said before, when you lay an egg, the best thing you can do is just get right back out there and play again. That's what they get to do tonight.
Yeah, and Alain Vigneault had a chance to say exactly that as we get ready to pick up our radio audience here. That's right. It's time for Philadelphia Flyers hockey, as the Flyers are remaining in Florida, this time to take on the Panthers after last night falling to the Tampa Bay Lightning. They now have lost 3 straight games, and they'll look to avoid a 4th straight tonight against a very difficult opponent. Brian Smith, Jason Myrtetus here on Flyers Game Day. And Bri, one of the things about tonight, we were just talking about it. Alain Vigneault said in his comments last night, the good thing about playing again today is that it's an immediate opportunity to wash the bad taste out of your mouth. He didn't say this part. I'm kind of, taking a little further, but to get right back at it and get a win, and park last night and get a win tonight, and you feel better about things moving forward.
Yeah, it's one of the things that you end up doing when you're going through the course of a season is occasionally you're going to hit spots where things just don't go right, and you aren't really sure why. But it's a game where it's just not the kind of effort that you thought you were going to get on a given night. And really what ends up happening is when you have 2 or 3 days off after a game like that, you don't enjoy those 2 or 3 days off. You want to get back out there and have a better showing. So the fact that last night comes with an opportunity here tonight to go right back out and try to rinse the palate, if you will, the lemon sorbet of hockey, is a good opportunity for the Flyers. But unfortunately for them, they're going to have to do it against pretty much the best team in the league right now in the Florida Panthers. And so, whether or not you're not looking for moral victories, but, they're just looking for a better effort overall than what came out last night.
Yeah, boy, I'm so glad you said that. And I mentioned it on Flyers Daily on today's episode, that there are no moral victories when you're fighting for points in the standings and things are as tight as they are. For the radio audience just tuning in, there are a lot of line changes for tonight. And here they are as follows. The top line, Sean Couturier will be centering Claude Giroux and Travis Konechny. The second line, Morgan Frost, the recent call-up, got called up last night, found out last night, and he will be in the lineup centering the second line with Joel Farabee and Cam Atkinson. And then the third line will be Scott Lawton centering James Van Riemsdyk, and Zach McEwen moves up from the fourth line. He had some jump last night. Then Nate Thompson will be centering Oscar Lindblom and Max Willman. Your D pairs changes there too, bro. We talked about it. They haven't changed the D pairs a lot. How about these D pairs? Ivan Provorov along with Rasmus Ristolainen, Nick Seeler along with Travis Sanheim, and Keith Yandel along with Justin Braun. Is this an effort, especially from the D pair standpoint, to defend a little better, because the last couple of games they haven't defended at a high level, and they don't want things going sideways in their own zone? You got to take care of that end of the ice, most importantly, before anything.
Yeah, and to me, it's the one thing that this does is it gives Nick Seeler a different partner to work with than Travis Sanheim. I don't think that he and Yandel have been the most effective pairing, especially over the last 3 or 4 games. I don't have actual numbers in front of me, but I have in my head I have seen them out for several goals in the last 2 or 3 games for this club. So I like the fact that it's giving them a bit of a new look with different partners and maybe settling things down a little bit. It's not it's not anything to do with ability or anything like that. It feels to me like Seeler and Yandel don't necessarily mesh well together as a partner, at least not the last couple of games, and just in terms of where each other are on the ice, things like that. So, just a little bit of a shakeup. There was the one goal last night, Corey Perry's goal, where Ivan Provorov just lost him. He thought he was behind him while he was on the left side of the net scoring the goal. So, just a different look, just maybe to give the defense a little bit of a wake-up call, a little bit of a refresher, and maybe after a while you get too comfortable with the same guys. A little bit of a new attention to detail for this group.
Yeah, and having Yandel and Seeler together, obviously it wasn't working, and you can't avoid putting your third pair on the ice, especially on the road. And then there's a matchup issue because the other team gets the last change. One of the options could have been to move Travis Sanheim to the right side and move him up and leave Ristolainen, but they opted not to do that and go with the natural right shot, right D with Rasmus Ristolainen on that top pair. Flyers going to be taking on a very, very tough opponent tonight. It's a bad time to get these teams when you're having a hard time scoring. And these offensive line changes, we'll see how they play out. But, I mean, all eyes, Morgan Frost is called up. A lot of people have been calling for it since the Kevin Hayes injury, even in training camp. He gets the call up, and he's not going to be a savior. He's not – Wayne Gretzky didn't walk through the door. But we'll see what Morgan Frost has. And the fact that he's played NHL games, 22 of them already, probably helps because he knows what to expect.
And I'm sure it helps that he got some AHL time as well before being thrown back into the fire after all the chaos of the last year or so. He's done well down there. So I think I think Chuck Fletcher made the right move there. Got him down there, got good, 10, 12 games in there now, ready to go. So, we'll see what he can bring this on this occasion.
Well, we'll see. It's Morgan Frost on the second line, Cam Atkinson with him, and Joel Farabee. It's going to be a fascinating game and see if the Flyers can stop the bleeding tonight down in South Florida. Tim Saunders, Steve Coates, they're standing by with the countdown to face-off and all the first period action. You've been listening to Flyers Game Day on the BetRivers.com Flyers Broadcast Network. Enjoy your hockey, everybody. All right.
Yeah, did you see that Corey Perry goal yesterday?
Yeah.
I mean, he was
gone. Corey Perry goal.
Yeah. It wasn't like he just lost track of where he was. Like the guy skated away from him around behind the net.
Yep. Crazy. So. All right. We'll see what the
one of those nights.
This night is going to be like. So
yeah.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching on the stream. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you on post game.
All right. Have a good one, folks.